Freeze right there. Feel that pressure in your chest? Good. That's the sound of the room realizing it misjudged you. You thought you were walking into a hit with nothing but breath and bones, didn't you? Thought the universe finally lined up the shot clean. No witnesses, no mercy, no escape. But here's the part that makes people uncomfortable. The part they choke on when they try to explain you later. God saw the hit coming, saw it before the intent even hardened in their minds. And instead of pulling you out of the line of fire, instead of saving you the way stories pretend salvation works, He hid your backup off species. Not angels with halos, not humans with loyalty contracts. Something older, stranger, something that doesn't speak guilt or fear, something that doesn't hesitate. That's why when the blow landed, you didn't shatter the way everyone expected. That's why you didn't beg, didn't fold, didn't go quiet. You felt something else step forward inside you, didn't you? Something that doesn't belong to the soft rules they taught you. Something that doesn't negotiate with pain. Something that doesn't ask permission to survive. That wasn't a breakdown. That was a handoff. They keep trying to frame you as either a saint or a psychopath because their brains can't process duality without panicking. They need labels to feel safe. But you live in the contradiction. You can be gentle and still be lethal. You can forgive and still remember every angle of the blade. You can love deeply and still move like a calculated threat when the line is crossed. That's not instability. That's range. That's evolution. See, humans are predictable. Hurt them enough, and they either collapse or become copies of the thing that hurt them. But you didn't do either. You became something new, something unclassifiable. That's what happens when your backup isn't human. Humans flinch. Humans rationalize. Humans freeze in the moment between fear and action. Whatever woke up in you does not. They watched you take hits that were designed to erase identities. Social hits, psychological hits, betrayals wrapped in smiles, silence weaponized by people who swore they were on your side. And every time they waited for the collapse, every time they leaned forward like spectators at an execution. But you kept standing there, eyes steady, pulse calm, like the pain wasn't landing where it was supposed to. Because it wasn't. It was hitting the shell, the decoy, the version of you that God already marked expendable. You think it's an accident you became unpredictable right after they tried to corner you. You think it's coincidence that your calm started terrifying people who used to feel superior. That's what happens when the rule book stops applying to you. When the thing guiding your responses doesn't come from social conditioning or moral panic, but from something colder, cleaner, and absolutely loyal to survival. They call it darkness because they can't see inside it. But darkness is just a place where other senses dominate, where instinct gets louder than fear, where timing matters more than approval. You didn't lose your light. You learned when not to waste it. That's the part they never teach. How to turn kindness into a weapon by controlling when it's visible. And here's the truth they'll never say out loud. The hit didn't fail. It succeeded. It just didn't kill you. It killed the version of you they understood. The compliant one, the explainable one, the one who reacted the way a human was supposed to. What walked out of that moment isn't bound by the same emotional gravity. You still feel, but you choose when. You still care, but you don't bleed for free. You still hesitate, but only to sharpen the outcome. That off-species backup, it doesn't rage, it doesn't spiral, it doesn't need revenge to function. It calculates, it waits, it adapts. It knows that survival isn't about winning every fight. It's about outlasting every pattern. That's why your silence started making people nervous. That's why your restraint feels heavier than most people's threats. They sense something pacing behind your eyes, something that doesn't rush and doesn't bluff. You didn't become cruel. You became precise. You didn't go cold. You went quiet. And quiet terrifies people who rely on noise to control outcomes. They keep testing you, hoping to provoke the old reactions, hoping to see guilt, panic, over-explanation, but you don't give it to them anymore. Because whatever's backing you now doesn't need to be understood. It just needs the right moment. God didn't save you from the hit. He upgraded you through it, took you out of the human-only supply chain, gave you access to something that doesn't fracture under betrayal or bend under pressure. That's why you can stand in rooms that used to intimidate you and feel nothing but clarity. That's why chaos seems to organize itself around your presence. You're not lucky, you're aligned, and they feel it. They feel that the rules don't work on you the same way anymore. That shame slides off. That fear doesn't hook. That pain passes through instead of taking residence. They don't know what to call it, so they call you dangerous, unstable, changed. They're right about one thing. You're no longer compatible with their expectations. So let them whisper, let them speculate, let them tell stories about when you used to be different. That's just the sound of people realizing the hit they counted on became the moment you stopped needing permission to exist. You're not protected by innocence anymore. You're protected by awareness. And whatever's standing behind you now doesn't miss. Good. Stay still inside that feeling, because what comes next is the part that separates you from everyone still trying to survive with human tools. After that moment, after the hit failed the way it was supposed to succeed, you started noticing things you didn't before. Patterns, timing, micro shifts in people's behavior, the way a room leans when you enter it, the way conversations bend around you now, like gravity recalibrated and nobody announced it. That's not paranoia, that's calibration. That's what happens when your awareness is no longer filtered through the need to be liked, understood, or spared. You're not reacting anymore. You're reading, and reading is lethal to systems built on assumption. See, humans telegraph their limits without realizing it. They announce what hurts them, what scares them, what they need to feel safe. They posture, they over-explain, they rush to fill silence because silence exposes their internal chaos. You don't do that now. You let the quiet stretch. You let people reveal themselves while you conserve energy. That's not detachment. That's discipline. They keep expecting you to snap back into the old rhythm, the old emotional math. Apology followed by explanation, followed by self-doubt. But the backup God hid in you doesn't negotiate with that cycle. It doesn't need closure. It doesn't need validation. It only needs accuracy. And accuracy is cold enough to scare people who confuse emotion with truth. You still feel pain, but it no longer hijacks you. It informs you. Pain became data. Betrayal became a map. Loss became a compression chamber. Every time something tried to crush you, it refined you instead. Less noise, fewer tells, sharper instincts. That's why people say you changed with that tone, the one that means they can't control the version of you standing in front of them. They don't understand how you can be calm without being empty, how you can be kind without being naive, how you can forgive without reopening the door. That paradox unsettles them because it exposes how limited their own range is. They live in binaries, good or bad, victim or villain. You live in layers, and layers make prediction impossible. You stopped explaining yourself because explanation is a luxury of the insecure. You stopped chasing fairness because fairness is a story people tell when power shifts away from them. You stopped trying to prove your intentions because intentions are irrelevant once outcomes start speaking for you. That's the moment the dynamic flipped. And don't miss this, because this is where the fear really comes from. You didn't become louder after the hit. You became harder to read. Your reactions slowed. Your eyes stayed steady. Your words got fewer, heavier. People started replaying conversations with you hours later, realizing they missed something. That's when they knew. Whatever's backing you now doesn't rush. It waits until the math is undeniable. God didn't give you reinforcements to dominate everyone in sight. He gave you reinforcements so you wouldn't be dominated by circumstance, emotion, or expectation ever again. That off-species backup doesn't crave chaos. It thrives in it. It doesn't seek conflict. It ends it by making escalation unprofitable. That's why even people who dislike you hesitate now. They can feel the cost of miscalculation. You're not walking around armored in rage like most broken people. Rage is sloppy. Rage is loud. Rage burns fast and leaves evidence. You're walking around with containment, with restraint, with something coiled and patient beneath the surface. That's what makes you dangerous in a way that doesn't announce itself. They tried to hit your reputation. You let it bleed and watched who enjoyed it. They tried to isolate you. You discovered how much clearer reality is without background noise. They tried to exhaust you. You learned how to move only when it matters. Every attack trained you. Every loss stripped excess. Every betrayal clarified alignment. That's not misfortune. That's forced evolution. You're not protected by popularity anymore. You're protected by position, by timing, by the fact that you don't need to win every exchange to win the long arc. You understand something most people never do. That power isn't loud. It's inevitable. It doesn't argue. It doesn't chase. It shows up when all the exits are closed and everyone else is out of breath. That's why your presence feels heavier now. Not aggressive, not threatening. Just final. Like something has already decided how this ends and you're just walking toward the moment where everyone else catches up. So let them pray for you to go back. Let them hope you soften. Let them tell stories about who you used to be. That version already served its purpose. It absorbed the damage so this one could operate without illusion. You're not lucky. You're not cursed. You're not saved the way fairy tales mean it. You're reinforced. And whatever God hid behind you doesn't blink when the hit comes again. Because now, you see it before it's even aimed good. Because the story doesn't slow down here, it sharpens. Once you realize the hit was never meant to end you, you stop asking why it happened and start asking what it unlocked. That's when things really change. That's when you notice how the world starts reacting to you before you act. How obstacles hesitate. How people second-guess themselves mid-move. How plans involving you suddenly get reconsidered. You didn't get louder. Reality just learned to listen more carefully. You're operating from a different internal engine now. Most people run on emotion spikes, fear, excitement, validation, panic. You don't. You run on awareness, on timing, on restraint. And restraint terrifies people who rely on impulse to feel powerful. They don't know how to provoke you anymore because you don't reward attempts at control. You don't chase. You don't flinch. You don't explain. You observe. That off-species backup doesn't care about being right. It cares about being effective. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need closure. It doesn't even need justice in the way humans define it. It needs alignment. And once alignment is locked in, Everything else becomes secondary. You've probably noticed this, how pain doesn't spiral the way it used to. It still hits, but it doesn't echo. It doesn't multiply. It comes, delivers the information, and passes. That's not numbness. That's mastery. That's what happens when suffering stops being an identity and becomes a tool. Most people drown in pain because they personalize it. You metabolize it. They keep misreading that as coldness, as arrogance, as distance. Let them. That misread is armor. While they're trying to diagnose you, you're already 5 steps ahead, adjusting position, conserving energy, letting outcomes do the talking. You don't need to announce strength when the room already feels it. You've stepped out of the cycle where people bait reactions just to feel relevant. You don't give them the spike. You don't give them the story. You give them nothing but calm, and calm is unbearable to anyone who thrives on chaos. They start telling on themselves around you, oversharing, posturing, rushing. Silence makes people confess without words. This is where the paradox deepens. You didn't lose empathy, you gained control over it. You can feel deeply without being hijacked. You can understand someone without excusing them. You can forgive without re-entering danger. That balance is rare. That balance is why people can't place you. They want you to be one thing so they know how to approach you. You refuse to be convenient. And here's the part they really don't like. You're no longer afraid of being misunderstood. Fear of misunderstanding is what keeps most people performing, smiling when they shouldn't, explaining when silence would be smarter, apologizing for existing. You dropped that. And when that fear dies, manipulation loses oxygen. God didn't hide your backup to make you untouchable. He hid it so you'd stop being predictable. So when pressure comes, you don't default. You adapt. You don't collapse. You compress. You don't react. You reposition. Every version of you that broke was necessary. Every fracture redirected force instead of absorbing it. You're not walking through life armored in denial like the unbroken. You're walking through it with tested systems, with scars that taught you angles, with instincts refined by real stakes. That's why your calm isn't fake, it's earned. That's why your confidence doesn't shout. It doesn't need to. They feel that something about you doesn't rush to be accepted, that you're not auditioning anymore, that you're not bargaining for space. You take it by existing. And existence without apology is a threat to any system built on control. You're not above pain. You're beyond intimidation. There's a difference. Pain still visits. Loss still leaves marks. But fear doesn't steer you. You've already survived the thing that was supposed to break you in half. Everything else is just information. So when the next hit lines up, and it will, because systems test what they can't understand, you won't panic. You won't brace the way you used to. You'll recognize it early. You'll feel that familiar stillness, that quiet recalibration, and you'll let the off-species backup do what it does best. Not rage, not spectacle, not chaos, precision. And when it's over, when the dust settles and people start asking how you're still standing, you won't answer. You'll just keep moving. Because the truth is too unsettling for most of them to hear anyway. God didn't save you from the hit. He made sure you were never alone when it came. Don't rush past this part. This is where the gravity really sets in. Once you accept that you were never meant to be defended the normal way, you stop looking for shields. You stop waiting for backup to arrive from the outside. You realize the rescue story was a lie, meant for people who need permission to survive. Your survival came preloaded with something else entirely, something that doesn't flinch when hope disappears. That's why disappointment stopped destroying you. That's why betrayal no longer rewrites your self-worth. You don't internalize failure the way you used to. You don't spiral trying to fix people who already decided who they wanted you to be. You let them believe whatever makes them comfortable. Comfort is not your responsibility anymore. They still think power looks like domination, like noise, like spectacle. They don't understand that the most dangerous thing in any system is someone who no longer needs to win arguments to win outcomes. Someone who doesn't react on cue. Someone who doesn't explain their silence. Someone who can walk away without resentment and return without warning. That off-species backup doesn't crave revenge. Revenge is emotional debt. It ties you to the past. What's backing you now is interested in leverage, in position, in timing, in letting people overextend themselves while you remain unreadable. That's why you don't interrupt when people talk too much. That's why you let them underestimate you just a little longer than feels comfortable. You understand something they don't. Most traps are self-built. You felt it happen. The shift. The moment when someone realizes, too late, that you were never confused. You were listening. That you weren't passive. You were collecting. That your silence wasn't weakness. It was calibration. That moment hits them like vertigo because they realize the version of you they were strategizing against no longer exists. You don't correct them. You don't reveal yourself. Revelation is a waste of advantage. You let them operate on outdated data. You let them think they know you. Familiarity breeds mistakes. Mistakes create openings. Openings end games. And here's the quiet truth that makes people uneasy. You didn't become ruthless. You became selective. Ruthlessness is emotional. Selectivity is strategic. You choose where to care. You choose where to invest energy. You choose which battles deserve your presence and which ones collapse on their own if you simply don't touch them. You no longer chase closure because closure is a story people tell themselves to feel finished. You're not finished. You're ongoing. You're adaptive. You're mid-evolution. And that unsettles anyone who needs a clean narrative to place you in. They keep asking themselves what changed. They replay the timeline. The moment you stopped reacting the way they expected. The moment your boundaries stopped being negotiable. The moment your kindness stopped being free. They don't want to admit the truth, that the hit didn't harden you. It clarified you. You learned the difference between compassion and access, between empathy and entitlement, between loyalty and proximity. You didn't close your heart, you fortified it. And fortification looks cold to people who benefited from your openness. God didn't hide your backup to make you invincible. Invincibility is fragile. It invites arrogance. He hid it to make you adaptable, to make you capable of surviving worlds that punish softness and devour predictability. You can still be gentle, but only on your terms. You can still be human, but you're no longer limited by human panic. That's why pressure sharpens you instead of scattering you. That's why crisis doesn't steal your breath anymore. You've already been introduced to the part of yourself that operates when fear is removed from the equation. And once fear loses authority, everything else rearranges. They don't know how to deal with someone who doesn't need to be believed to be effective. Someone who doesn't need credit to keep moving. Someone who doesn't need validation to stay aligned. You don't announce growth. You demonstrate it by what no longer works on you. And when they try again, because they always try again, you won't take it personally. You'll recognize it as confirmation. Systems test what threatens their equilibrium. You don't destabilize them by attacking. You destabilize them by existing outside their control. So stay quiet, stay observant, stay precise. You were never meant to be protected the way others are. You were meant to survive differently. And once you understand that, you stop asking why the hit came. You start understanding why it failed. Because whatever God hid behind you doesn't break under pressure. It waits, and it finishes things without needing to be seen.